and welcome to a whole nother edition of Deal. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's great to have you here today. And today my guest is Vince Coakley, a very familiar face here in the Charlotte market. Vince has been in our homes for nearly 18 years working at WSOC Channel 9. Vince stepped down just about 2 years ago to get involved with ministry. Currently he's hosting a radio talk show on WBT here in Charlotte. Vince, welcome to the show.
Hey, good to be here, man.
It's been almost 2 years, and since you stepped down, many people know you from WSOC Channel 9. How has that been, and what was your reason for leaving?
Well, good to be here first off, and I'll tell you, it's been a phenomenal past couple of years. I had a blast and continue to have a blast. One of the things, I think I had a conversation with someone several years ago just about careers and when to know now is the time or whatever, and I remember this person saying, I reached a point where I realized, now is the time, and I think I had that very strong sense really for several years. And so when that opportunity presented itself, I took it. So it was good to take that step and then have some season of time to be able to kind of recalibrate and rest and come to the place where I'm now to pursue talk radio, which is something I've been wanting to do for a long time.
Oh wow, and in fact, that's where you started off at, right?
Well, I actually started off in radio, yes. I was a disc jockey at a radio station in the tiny town of Newark, Delaware, years ago. So yeah, it's kind of a neat return to my roots, and I refer to it as really my first love in broadcasting because I really love radio. Yeah, it's a great venue.
What is it about media that keeps you involved?
Well, I think one of the things about it is it's a at the risk of sounding kind of trite here and kind of obvious, it's a medium for communication, for mass communication, to disseminate ideas. And that's one of the things I like about it, is it's an opportunity to spread some ideas over a much larger area than you can in a public square.
You pretty much was shut mouth for nearly 18 years, so you have a lot to say, and often I tune in on WBT to get a second opinion on some things.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, to my surprise, that 18 years has been in you for a long time, and you wanted to come out. And the format of the show, obviously, news talk, politics, and recently, most of the time you talk about the Obama administration and a lot of the things that are going on there. So I just wanted to get your take on President Obama and his administration.
You just love that question, don't you? Well, first, I'll touch on something you said about these things kind of welling up in me for a long time, because they really have been. It's funny because a consultant, back before I started doing what I do now, a consultant who's in the talk radio business was watching one of my tapes, and he just said, "You look confined in that anchor chair." And he said he had this sense that there's much more in there than has ever come out. And he was absolutely right. He made that observation just from watching me, that there was something that looked confining about it to me. And it was. As far as the Obama administration, I want to do two things there when I answer that question. First, I want to talk about the man, and the second thing I want to talk about the administration, so people understand where I'm coming from. Because there's a lot of, unfortunately, reactionary thinking, especially along racial lines. I have nothing personal against Barack Obama. In fact, my heart goes out to him because I believe that he is a broken man who needs healing. And I think people like that very often they have the potential to be among the most dangerous people in the things that they do. So the second part of what I communicate ties in with that very issue. Everything that I see is indication of someone who's looking for control and looking to consolidate power in the office of president and in Washington. To understand where I'm coming from, I believe in we the people. I'm a strong believer in that. And I think any leader that I look to is someone who wants to restore power back to the American people, not take more of it for himself. And so I believe the ideas that he's promoting are not very healthy for our country at all. The spending rate has just been out of control, and we can't keep going that way. We just can't survive.
So what happens next? He has an election coming up, and nothing has changed about his political ideology, certainly, and looks like he has another shot as the incumbent. So
Yeah, he has a shot, and I think this actually, frankly, brings it to a place of, I think, greater danger, because if he gets in for another term and doesn't have to worry about being reelected, I think that's when the real Barack Obama shows up with fury. Because I really believe that, I mean, here's a man who said, I want to transform America. Somebody coming along, and I don't care who it is, who tells me they want to transform America is not a person that I'm excited about, because what they want to do is to take our system and turn it into something that it's not. And I can't go along with that. So I think, again, if he's reelected, he has an opportunity to do something that, you know, really with impunity, because he has no fear at all about being stopped.
Yeah. Interesting. Very, very interesting. But I wanted to know, all right, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, if he don't win this election that's coming up, and we have Newt Gingrich, Ron Paul, and Mitt Romney as the Republican candidates. What do we take from there? Newt Gingrich, Ron Paul, and Mitt Romney. It has to be one of the three, although go ahead.
Right. I'm, you know, one of the things I've not done yet, even on the program, I've not endorsed anybody, and I don't know that I will. I can tell you I'm not pleased with the lineup. You know, it's kind of funny because people call on the show and it's like, you Republican this or that. I am more conservative than I am Republican. I'm not a representative of the Republican Party. In fact, I think the Republican Party is very rapidly becoming a joke, because they've turned into a Me Too party. You know, if the Democrat Party is taking us to hell at 100 miles an hour, the Republican Party just wants to slow it down to 50. And so many of my ideas really go beyond the party. And frankly, I don't see a real person I would call a standard bearer for my beliefs. So to be honest with you, I'm going to ultimately probably end up choosing the lesser of the evils on election day, and whoever that Republican nominee is. Now, having said that, if someone can prove, even as a third-party candidate, that they can make a real run for it, and they have a real significant chance to be able to secure the office, someone who, you know, embodies those ideas, limited government, you know, getting rid of our debt, I would consider that too.
See, you know, the candidate has a lot to do with, you know, the policies being pushed through the House and the Senate. But at the same time, even right now, the Republican on the House and obviously the Democrats is in the Senate majority. And it seems like nothing has been going through these last 2 years, and the Republicans are in the House.
So you've got a stalemate.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of the things actually, I've gotten a number of emails about this and calls, and one of the things I'll probably deal with on the radio show soon is to call and challenge people that of this country has to make a choice. Are we going to be a country of capitalism, free enterprise, and freedom? Or are we going to go down the road to socialism and ultimately communism? We need to make a choice. That's where the gridlock is. I mean, I hear people all the time, well, why can't they get stuff done in Washington? Well, they can't get anything done because you've got one party that's given over to socialism, and you've got another party that is, you know, allegedly conservative, but increasingly they are drifting in a socialist direction. But they are, you know, you have people, you know, there are exceptions of people who very strongly want to go the other direction. But you're going to have gridlock, and I think it's because that's where the American people are. You have American people have been brainwashed for generations through the educational system to buy into liberalism, and so you've got this gridlock. Plus, you throw in 49% of the people in this country derive some government benefit. So you're at a very dangerous place to where now all one party has to do is co-opt that 49% that gets some government benefit, and they're in office for life. That's dangerous because we'll never get a hold of our debt, and we're really pushing the envelope on the day of our collapse.
You know, we have, I'm going to come down from federal and go to local and state. We have a lot of dirt right here in our backyard with politicians and,
Politicians dirty? You're kidding.
Unfortunately, yes, they are. The people we elect, some of them happen to be. But your show, your talk show, is a local talk show, and it reaches a broad audience here in the Charlotte region. But I don't hear a lot of local talk. It's more on the federal level. People calling in to, talk about the president and, different things that are going on all the way around the world, but local. Can we stick to local? And there's a lot of politicians here that are running for District 9, Sue Myrick's seat, and I want to get your take on.
Does the word circus mean anything to you? I'll tell you, that's been an interesting race to watch. I had no idea that many people would be jumping in that race. I don't know how to characterize that. There's some interesting candidates there.
We have Andy Doolin, Jim Pendergrass.
Yeah, I have a person right now that I think I'm leaning toward in that race. And interestingly enough, I just now have been put into that district because of redistricting. So that was kind of interesting to find that out some weeks ago. And it's an interesting little situation there. So.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. So I guess you don't want to announce that who you're going to.
At this point, I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole.
We also have several amendments here in the North Carolina state constitution, and one of them is the Gay Marriage Amendment 1. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's a complicated question. It's interesting to me because since I've been doing this show, I found that and this is partially impacted by my spiritual convictions, I found myself rethinking a number of positions, and you'll understand where I'm going on this in a minute, because obviously as a Christian, I oppose homosexuality, the promotion of homosexuality. The idea of gay marriage is really an oxymoron. There's really no such thing. What frustrates me about this is in recent days I've been reading some different things about how this particular amendment's written that caused me some concern. And in fact, I've even delayed doing anything on the show on this. We did something some months ago. I haven't even done anything on the show lately because I want to process my way through it. And I'll probably have a couple of guests on the show to deal with this. But I think the way to sum it up is, I oppose the idea of gay marriage, and yet at the same time, I've got some real questions about how this is written that has caused me a little bit of concern.
The Democrats are coming here in a few months for the Democratic National Convention uptown in the arena right down the street from the radio station. So I'm just curious to find out, do you think this is just going to be a PR stunt for the Democrats, or is it going to be something that people are going to be really in-depth and engaged with as a party?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and I don't want to hype anything up, or I'll be very intrigued, for instance, to watch the impact of the unions, the Occupy movement, to see what sort of activities might be associated with the convention. There's some really radical people connected with not only this president, but with the Democrat Party that really want to stir up chaos. And so I'm going to be very interested. I hope it does not happen, but I have a suspicion that, there may be some interesting things that take place during that week.
Before we end, I call these questions softball questions. A lot of people like them, and they're questions that the ordinary person wouldn't know about Vince Coakley. So I'm going to throw them out, and I want you to give me a solid answer. And we'll go on and on and on. All right?
Me? Do that? Come on.
All right, softball questions. First job.
First job as disc jockey at the adult contemporary radio station WNRK in Newark, Delaware, 1981.
1981. Your mentor.
My mentor, his name is Don Atkin. It's and that's another story. I wish I had more time to tell, but it's a guy who's had a tremendous impact on my life this past 3 years or so. Have a deep respect for him.
Favorite movie?
Oh boy. Actually, one of my favorite directors, probably my favorite director, was Alfred Hitchcock.
Wow.
I love Hitchcock movies. And it was a movie my family loves, my wife loves. It's called The Man Who Knew Too Much. Jimmy Stewart and Doris Day.
Okay.
Great film.
Favorite song?
Favorite song. Actually, just off the top of my head, people get a real kick out of this one. The song True by Spandau Ballet, years ago, 1983.
Oh, you're showing your age.
Showing my age. Showing my age.
Vince Coakley in 5 years. Where do you want to be?
I have absolutely no idea. And I'm not saying this is one of those trite answers, but I honestly want to be whatever the Lord wants me to be, and doing whatever He wants me to do. I envision being right here in Charlotte. I have a sense of calling to the city. I feel like that I belong here and family belongs here. As to what that would look like, I would be afraid to bet on.
Another thing is, if you can change one thing about yourself, what would it be?
My age?
Your age. How old are you?
I'm just kidding.
You're not that old, Vince.
Oh, wow. That's a hard question. What would I change? I would say one of those elements would be, this is a paradox for me, because I had a guest on talking about this. I might be defined as ADHD, and my mind goes all kinds of directions, which has all kinds of implications. In some ways, I wish that weren't there, but at the same time, I'm learning that that's a gift. So, but I would probably put that at the top of the list.
And I'm asking you these questions because I believe a lot of people that are watching, they see you on TV, but they don't really know who you are.
Right.
Or they hear you on the radio, and they're like, oh, that's just Vince Coakley, but they don't really know who you are as a person. So I just want to get on a little softer side.
Yeah.
And what do you think your greatest success is?
Oh boy, greatest success. I hope that what would be defined as my greatest success is a legacy of loving people, beginning with my family and broadening out to others around me. I hope that would be what people would ultimately see, that here's a guy who genuinely loves people.
Yeah. Reese cups or Reese pieces?
It's more likely pieces, because I've never really gotten into either one of them. So yeah, it's more likely
Coke
pieces.
or Pepsi?
It doesn't really matter to me, believe it or not. Although, let me rephrase that, because Coke Zero is one of my favorite drinks, so I'll have to give it to Coke.
So it'll be Coke. How can people stay in touch with you? I know you have a blog, and you have Facebook and Twitter. And
Yeah, there's a Vince Coakley fan page on Facebook, There's also a blog I have that is more focused on spiritual issues. It's called to revolution.blogspot.com, and that's updated at least once weekly if I'm on my game.
Okay, cool. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Vince Coakley joining us here in the Deal Studios. Vince, thanks for being here. It's great to have you.
Hey, good to be here, man.
All right, guys, we'll see you here next time. Same time, same place.